Hey, welcome to Film versus Movie, the podcast where we debate the cinema you hate. I'm your co-host, Belton DeLaine-Facey.
And my name's Chris Shurr.
And on this podcast, we watch the films that have been slandered, desecrated, and sentenced to youth sports by public opinion. And one of us tells you why it's actually pretty good.
And the other one's going to tell you why it's a steaming pile of shit.
And today we have a special guest with us. She is a comedian. Please welcome Gabby Jordan Brown.
Yay! Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to discuss this brilliant or bad.
This is cinema. This is cinema.
This was something. I can't wait to talk about it.
It was a film. Would you like to tell people what we'll be discussing today?
8 Crazy Nights. They brought in their resident Jewess to discuss 8 Crazy Nights. Very hard to find Jews in comedy. So I'm glad they were able to find one to come on the podcast and discuss.
Yeah, I actually had that exact thought. I was just like, oh God, me and Belton both said Gabby. And I think that's our one Jewish friend.
Yeah, I know. We do comedy in Brooklyn and we managed to only find one.
I think that says more about Belton than New York, or me and Belton than New York.
So did this movie change your mind? Are you guys going to get like 80 Jewish friends after this?
I think if I compliment it too much, the Jews will know to stay away from me.
Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that because I don't want to make it sound like I'm going to start picking up Jews like Pokemon.
I'm going to bring all this to the Jew meeting when I go next.
All right. Well, getting into the plot of 8 Crazy Nights, it is Adam Sandler's animated Hanukkah musical.
Okay, I was thinking while I was watching this, is this an SNL movie?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I think it hits the category. 8 Crazy Nights was an SNL sketch, or the Hanukkah song.
Yeah.
It was a Weekend Update segment.
Yeah, that's where it started. And they got the title from that song.
Yeah, I think it could count as an SNL movie.
It wasn't produced by SNL Studios, though.
Oh, is that what does it?
Yeah, it's like produced by SNL Studios and based on a sketch, which I think the based on a sketch part is also stretching it.
Yeah, a little bit.
I feel like I'm triggered by the word SNL because I recently gave an interview where, okay, I'm so not media trained. There was this article that ran that was like 8 Jewish comedians' opinions on SNL. And it's like everyone's complimenting SNL. And there's a segment on me. And it's just me being like, yeah, that shit's like gay and corporate. I'm never getting hired there. I don't want to. It sucks. It's so boring. And when I was talking to the journalist the whole time, he was like smiling and laughing. So my dumbass thought like, oh my God, I'm being so funny. I realize he's laughing because I'm giving him like the perfect quotes. I was like, they should be meaner to bisexuals on SNL. That'd be a funny show. But it's so unfunny. I need media training so bad. My career's not going anywhere.
All right. Well, getting into the plot of 8 Crazy Nights, it starts off, we meet Davy Stone, who is played by Adam Sandler. He gets drunk and while running from the cops, he destroys town holiday ice sculptures, which is a giant Santa Claus and a giant menorah.
That was a 10-year prison sentence. Like, I know it was a lot of, but like they were standing, I think it was ice. They're on like a frozen pond. So he just put frozen water into more frozen water. And then he lost 10 years of his life. Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming he has previous strikes, but they also mentioned like he's 33 and has been to town drunk for 20 years. Like,
oh shit, since he was 13.
Like, I feel like, okay, if he was going to go to jail, he should be in jail by now.
Can we talk about the town? That town would have been wrecked by fentanyl if this movie had been made today.
Oh yeah, this town for sure voted for Trump.
I don't understand what the demographics are of the town because it's like maybe a working class town, but also has this like Disney's original movie Holes ass courtroom where they're like, you could go to jail for 10 years or you could do this weird recreational thing. And he's like, I'm gonna coach kids.
So during sentencing, the judge is about to sentence him to 10 years And then Y.E. Duvall, a short old man who's the town's youth basketball referee, offers, instead of a sentence, train him as his successor. And if he stays on good behavior, he gets out of jail.
Oh, that's what happened.
I think that's the tougher punishment because I just like this is a town full of the cruelest people I've ever seen in my entire life. Like they just run on pure cruelty. They're like, oh, what are we gonna do? And they're like, well, he's the short elderly guy. What if we just like burn him with matchsticks? And it's like a 45-year-old lawyer doing that.
Oh yeah, like every single person in this town is just so mean to Y.E. Also, Y.E.'s whole thing was like, as a youth sports referee, you can turn kids' lives around. As a former youth sports referee, I changed 0 kids' lives. Like I don't think I had an effect on their lives. Also, I couldn't tell who was gonna be the good ones. I could pick out a couple that were gonna grow up to be total dick bags.
Look, you have to go back and help some of the kids that you coached when they're 33.
You have to use a different voice.
See, that's the thing.
You gotta teach them like this, and then you turn their lives around.
See, that's the thing. I didn't coach any of them. I just threatened to give them yellow cards.
Okay, well, that's the Whitey wasn't a coach. He was just the like he wasn't shaping their lives. Like we have umps for our rec league softball.
Oh my god!
And it's just like a real old mean Italian guy, and he's like, "Hey, don't be mean to the trainees. They're just better than you." Like that's the most they do to help people.
Wait, Whitey is basically our softball umpire.
Exactly.
Wow.
Same amount of authority.
All right. So during his first game as a ref in training, Davey does nothing but body shame a child, and then all the parents get mad, and Whitey has a seizure.
And
you summed it up well. That sums it up just about.
So after a game, Whitey takes Davey to the mall where they meet Jennifer, Davey's childhood crush, who just moved back in town with her son Benjamin. And Whitey reveals that is his ultimate dream to win the town's all-star patch, which is just awarded to who the town votes as their favorite person that year.
Like Citizen of the Year.
Yeah, Citizen of the Year. That's a good way to describe it. And then we follow Whitey the next morning. He does a bunch of odd jobs, like for $1. He puts a light on top of the town Christmas tree and cleans out porta potties. He finds Davey in one, and Davey shoves him in a porta potty and pushes him down a hill.
And then freezes him with a hose until he's frozen in a solid block of shit-flavored ice.
Cruelty. I just don't understand why they all don't just leave the town and go somewhere else nice. They don't even have to do the thing where you like move to the major cities and make some. Just go somewhere where people are like, you want a hot bowl of soup? Because I don't even think if you went to a diner in that town, they'd be like, here's your steaming pile of shit. Are you happy?
Look, the one nice woman moved out of town and then she got cheated on and she just had to come back. It's just like
she's so nice too.
She seeked out the treatment.
Yeah, dare I say cartoonishly nice.
Yeah, she is. And so later on, while Whitey and Davey are at the gym, Davey bonds with Jennifer's son Benjamin by playing basketball with him, and then Jennifer walks in at the and scolds them both when Benjamin curses.
Wow, they're both shirtless. That was really interesting. I like that she didn't flag that as a problem. Not this strange man has no shirt on with my child and is touching.
Honestly, shirts and skins are a pretty common thing.
Yeah, at the JCC, shirts and skins fly. They fly.
But like, okay, the way he was like bent over and like being like, you're so good at this, and then the child was like, and fuck you, and that's when Jennifer took a issue with
that's classic nice mom behavior though.
That's true. Yeah. This is she's a little bit Goyim coded actually. She's not very Jewish coded. But we'll get into that.
Wait, was she supposed to be Jewish? I thought she was just a Christian woman.
I thought she was Jewish.
I thought she was the way it was explained to me while I was watching this movie was like the two of them were like the two Jews in the town, and that's why they fell in love. But that might be nowhere in the movie.
Okay.
That was just the person I was sitting next to on the couch.
Well, then that's like his menorah ice sculpture. He can do with it what he wants.
Is that how it works?
Well, if he's the only Jew in the town, it's just like, who else is it
There's
for?
another Jew in the town, her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't
he
get
can do
why
whatever he
everyone's so
wants to
upset.
her. I don't give a shit. As when it's two Jews, they can do whatever they want. Them's the rules. Anyway, sorry. Let's get through the plot.
All right, so back to the plot. While heading home, Davy and Jennifer both reminisce about their time together as kids, and then Davy gets home to find the guy he beat in basketball just set his trailer on fire. Which, again, this town is just mean.
Okay,
No.
yeah. He also, I love that moment just because he set the trailer on fire, but he also still had like the jockstrap hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah.
So he's honorable enough to finish it, but like dishonorable enough to burn down a trailer.
Yeah. It's crack behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so with nowhere else to go, Davy stays with Whitey and his sister. While staying with them, Davy starts to turn around until Whitey reminisces on the night Davy's parents died on the way to his basketball game. Davy blows up at the both of them. They kick him out the house. While on a bender, Davy breaks into the mall where he hallucinates all the mall mascots telling him to confront his parents' death. He finally cries about it, but then police catch him and chase him and try to take him to jail. Instead of skipping town, he goes to the town all-star banquet to watch. Whitey leaves after not winning the award. Davy bursts in to confront the town about their mistreatment of Whitey, and they all get together and shower Whitey in all the awards that have been given out over the years. Yes,
they all go to the mall and they shower him.
Yeah, Whitey breaks into the mall and gets showered with awards. Davy breaks in and gets chased by the cops.
Yeah. Also, everyone at the mall talks to the Foot Locker icon at the mall talks to Davy. But it kind of looks at Whitey and goes, I ain't getting involved in all that. I love that.
It's just like, oh, what, you're sad, bitch? Okay.
I'm sure someone will come do a grand gesture for you soon. I'm not involved.
Like, we actually kind of put in work earlier, so it's going to come back around.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So as mentioned before, at least the title of this movie is based on Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song, which he did as a recurring segment on Saturday Night Live. Davy's entire appearance is based on old pictures of Adam Sandler, and like a lot of Adam Sandler movies, he gets his family involved. His real life parents play his parents in the movie. Jennifer is played by his real life wife. They got married the year after this movie came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so this is the only animated film to be produced by Happy Madison Productions, which is Adam Sandler's company. Over 11 different animation studios worked on this. I could not figure out how that came about, but so apparently a lot of people online point out that the art style was similar to Iron Giant.
Yeah.
It turned out a lot of the animators were fired from Warner Brothers in the previous year. So
So
that's
they probably did work on the Iron Giant. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, and so this was directed by Keith Sersley, who mostly works in animation. He's directed episodes of Family Guy and The Looney Tunes Show. There are 4 different writers credited. The first one is Brooks Arthur, who mainly worked on the music. He's worked on music for other Adam Sandler projects like The Wedding Singer and Jack and Jill. Alan Cover, who was also a writer for Jack and Jill and the Adam Sandler produced movie Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star.
Wait, which one was that? Was Nick Swartzen?
Yeah.
Right?
I've never seen that one.
I've never seen it. I just remember the commercials were just very aggressive and made me uncomfortable.
Okay, because I remember Dickie Roberts' former child star, which was like similar as David Spade. That movie was fun. It was bad. We might have to do it for this podcast, but it was fun.
Yeah. I feel like you've been a David Spade fan for some time.
I don't hate David Spade. Everyone, like, I just feel like everyone hates David Spade, and you gun to my head, I'm actually kind of a David Spade fan. I just like don't know what he's been up to in his personal life, so I'm not gonna make like a real hard David Spade stance.
True.
But he seems like a cool guy.
Well, it doesn't. I don't know if he's done like a Rob Schneider arc where Rob Schneider's gone insane, but I mean, I guess he always was.
Yeah, Rob Schneider's just always been kind of like a dickhead.
Yeah. Didn't his daughter come out and say he was like an abusive dad?
Oh, I thought she said he was just absentee.
Oh, maybe.
All right, but
we're getting off track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the other two writers, Brad Isaacs, mostly worked in TV. He's written for Roseanne and Webster, and then the fourth is, of course, Adam Sandler.
Classic.
Yeah, and so after the Nostalgia Critic gave a review of this movie, director Keith Sersley actually emailed him to clarify some things and let him know that he wanted to take out a lot of like different elements of the movie, including like pretty much anything having to do with poop and Whitey's voice, which if you watch the movie, it's easy to tell Whitey is just voiced by Adam Sandler's go-to high-pitched impression. But apparently all those things scored so well in the test screening, they couldn't get rid of it.
Of course they did.
My theory is he filmed with that voice in like the first scene and he just didn't want to change it. And then he just got stuck with it. I feel like there's even times you can feel like a sigh in there where he's like, here we go. I gotta do the voice again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Adam Sandler's like go-to like character voice, because he does a similar thing with like Billy Madison and the Water Boy. It's just this high-pitched voice, and he's like, this is versatile enough to get anything done.
Well, if you go back even further, it was like on those early albums that he released that were all just audio sketches. He would do a lot of that voice. Like he had a character named Fatty McGee, and he just wheezed when he went upstairs, and so he'd just be like, wee.
See, that's not bad. That's not bad. Because at least there's an angle.
Yeah.
Whitey was just incomprehensibly weird. I think being exposed to Whitey's voice is why that town was so cruel. If there was screeching in your ear all fucking day, you'd go insane too.
All right, so this movie came out in theaters on November 27th, 2002 on a budget of $34 million. It made $23.8 million at the box office. Currently stands at 19% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.3 on IMDb.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. All right, and now it's time for our opening statements.
Dun dun. Do you guys do like a sound effect?
No, we don't have sound effects.
Okay, well, I'll kill myself.
You want to do them?
Dun dun.
There we go.
Opening
Yeah.
statement.
All right, I will be attacking the film, and Chris will be defending.
Okay.
Dun dun. Okay.
8 Crazy Nights is a beautiful coming-of-age story set in the context of a 30-year-old alcoholic's arrested development. While crude, vulgar, and downright crass at times, it properly captures the spirit of the holiday season while sidestepping every trademark of a Hallmark Christmas movie. It's fun, funny, and most importantly, it's got heart.
All right. 8 Crazy Nights has all the elements of a heartwarming holiday movie before going through the Adam Sandler blender and becoming the most repulsive version of itself. The authenticity and caring the characters should have is replaced by that stupid voice Adam Sandler does as his default imitation of someone. This movie is good for remembering what Sandler's like when he panders to his base of 13-year-olds, not much else. Oh, Gabby, do you have any initial thoughts on this film?
Yeah, it always drives me crazy in a movie when the white guy is the best at basketball.
Okay, I want to point out I don't think there was a single black person.
Yeah, the only non-white person in this town is a Chinese man played by Rob Schneider.
Wait, Rob Schneider played the Chinese guy?
Yes.
Oh no.
Of course, Rob Schneider just plays an Asian person like he does in like every other Adam Sandler movie.
That Chinese man had severe like bipolar 2 disorder, needed to be severely medicated. Everything was, how did that man own a business? At every point, he was like pulling out his hair, banging his head. He should have been a cop at that point. He was broken inside.
Look, this is a small town in Massachusetts. The only thing that you can really do as a Chinese person is own a Chinese restaurant.
That's true, but you gotta own it with a little more. I mean, can you imagine that guy like working the books? You know?
Yeah, the first thing we see is he let Davey just get pissed drunk and then told him to drive home. Well, to be fair, Davey did die and dash, so I'm not...
I like that gag where he had 4 scorpion bowls in 5 minutes. Because it's just like
gag.
the most outrageous drink to have a bunch of in a short amount. Because like you lean over it and the middle's on fire too.
Yeah.
Okay, here...
That was a good gag.
Okay, but also, like, this is Massachusetts town. I feel like if you eat if you finish like 4 of any bowl in 5 minutes, they have your picture on the wall.
Well, they definitely had his photo on the wall. They were like, watch out for this man. He will dine and they did nothing. It felt like he dined and dashed every day. And they were like, there's Davey.
Well, I mean, it's hard to chase him. He rode a freaking garbage can lid 2.5 miles. Like if he actually tried to get away, it would
he's
be
an
much,
athlete.
If he had a car, he'd be in California the next day. Like
he wouldn't last a day in California. He wouldn't last one moment in any other place except right here, I think. That is the joy of this movie, I think, is like this town is where Davey is meant to be. Except there is one thing. I do think he should have gone to a synagogue. He needed a sense of like Jewish community and identity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's one thing like that he was missing from his character. He doesn't have like an actual want. Like I understand. Like I understand he never got over his parents' death properly, but still, like he just needed like one thing to look forward to every day. They could have made it those Dragon Balls, but he just like meandered through the town.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like he gave up his wants. Like it's a depiction of mental health deteriorating, where it's like, yes, in a movie you want your character to have wants, but what happens when that character is just broken down?
That's why it scored so low in Rotten Tomatoes. It's too real. This is a gritty, dark movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's flawed in its realism.
It's showing you the underbelly of society. That Asian man, he's you.
I mean, it's a matter of like at least give him a regular routine. Like he should have some sort of job. Because like they don't treat him like he's just homeless. They're like, oh yeah, he's like the town like drunk, or like he just caused his trouble. But everyone seems to assume he has some amount of money.
Well, the thing is, like, they had a specifically homeless town member who ends up asking out Jennifer at the big event, the Winter Gala. I just imagined it was a life insurance payout that he's just been like slowly dwindling down.
Okay, that actually would be a reasonable explanation.
Yeah. But also, money doesn't seem to exist in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the Whitey's getting paid $1 to like for terrible bodily harm.
Yeah, I mean,
in real life, Whitey would make like 6 figures plumbing.
Yeah,
and he'd be like loaded with bitches. And Whitey would be so rich.
I mean, that's the thing. This in the movie, like money has relevance to an extent. Like Whitey's situation is cartoonish, but then Jennifer has to come back and take a job at the mall. So it's like, and then at the end, the guy who does win the town all-star award wins it because he's a billionaire who donated a lot of money. So like, money clearly exists in this world. In
an incredibly scattershot way. I will say my favorite part of the movie was the use of the mall as like this gorgeous liminal space, because that felt right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in the city, so we didn't really have malls like that. And the first time I went to a mall, well, I went to the ones like in downtown Manhattan, but I feel like they're so small it doesn't count. First time I went to a nice mall, it was in DC. I felt like I was like, I could live here. I could live here easily. I'll hang out. I'll sleep in the Sharper Image. and it just felt so right. And like that, all of the stores they had in the mall were like from when we were growing up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like the mall at night, it makes sense, especially for a town like that where it kind of seems like, oh yeah, the only thing you have to do is go hang out at the mall.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a teenager.
I also think it's kind of like, it's a very cynical view on the holidays where like the sacred spot where you find yourself is just where you buy things.
Oh,
well, that felt right.
Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
saying that works.
yeah. I mean that's one thing this movie does. It does make like the holidays very like pagan, more cultural than religious. Because I mean, like you mentioned, like Davey doesn't go to synagogue. He doesn't like handle Judaism at all. But also, it seems like this movie points out is like that's how Christmas is handled by and large in society, and it seemed like this movie was just like, let's just put Hanukkah on that level.
That is one thing I think Adam Sandler as a filmmaker does really well. He does a great depiction of like cultural Judaism, because like the Hanukkah version of this movie that like would make it more of like a Hanukkah movie, quote unquote, is if everyone was like, let's remember Hanukkah exists. And then at the end, everyone lit the menorah. But that doesn't happen because no one gives a shit. In Judaism, Hanukkah is actually not that important of a holiday.
Yeah.
Isn't it the only reason that like Hanukkah is pushed into the forefront is because they needed something else compared to Christmas?
Yeah, it's like around I think the Jews are just trying to market, which as we want to do. But
Well, I figured it was companies trying to market to the Jews.
Yeah.
Well, that too. But the important ones are Sukkot and like the High Holy Days. And there's like a couple of other ones, but I think he does a really good job at depicting cultural Judaism in general. Because the other thing is like the main character is like really not connected to his Jewish identity at all. And I think that kind of makes him, I relate to that. Like that, it's like, especially with all the everything happening now, like I feel less connected to Judaism than I ever have. I like left my temple. They were Jew Zionist. And like, I feel a little sad that this guy's just like a town drunk and he has like no other Jews to talk with. And the only other Jew around is this almost like inaccessibly nice woman. Like,
Yeah.
with like giant tits, and like it just feels so.
I don't know. That seems like a positive. You're like, oh no, the only Jew has giant tits.
It feels like a setup. It feels too good to be true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, the only other Jew has giant tits and she's so nice and she's a kid and she never does anything wrong. Like, I'm going to fuck this up.
Yeah. Plus, she was gone for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. She left to go to yeshiva. I don't know.
She just left the bum town. That's all we need to know.
Yeah. And she came back.
Yeah. Okay. So also my thing is with Whitey's character, there's just zero sincerity given at any level, which feels weird because like it feels like he's supposed to be this like canary in a coal mine role for Davey, where it's like, oh, he's leading him to the good side, but it's like the movie takes every single chance to just make fun of him, and like as the audience, we're not really given an actual reason to dislike him as a person. Like
the voice, I'd make fun of him too. The voice.
But that's the thing. If they wanted him to have like actual sincerity, have him be played by an actual old man instead of Adam Sandler doing whatever. Have
him be played by Rob Schneider with an Asian accent.
Well, I think that they kind of set him up as Sandler's foil, where if you think about it, like he is so fucking annoying, but he's so sincere, and that kind of forces like it's just gonna bother the crap out of Sandler's character, and ultimately it's a higher bar to overcome than if he was just nice.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah.
You
'cause-
kind of have to. Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead.
You kind of have to let go of your ego in order to like accept kindness from someone who bothers the living shit out of you.
Yeah, it's like that meme. Don't kill the part of you that's cringe. Kill the part of you that cringes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what this movie is about. I mean that.
I mean, I understand to a degree because I think I understand what they were trying to do with that, which would have been smart if they pulled it off. Whereas, like, if we as the audience are just laughing at why, and then we come to like a realization moment, then it's just like, oh, we are like the townsfolk that just made fun of him all for all these years, but they never give us that moment because first off, why he doesn't actually have actions that positively impact people. Like we see him get taken advantage of with work, but it's like at the very least they could have made him a coach to give him a moment with a kid who like had a bad game and be like, hey, don't beat yourself up. You're getting better. There's none of that. We don't get like the moment where it's just like, oh yeah, why he does so much, because the movie to the very end takes every moment to just make fun of Whitey. Because remember, the closing shot of the movie is Whitey having a seizure, and we as the audience are supposed to laugh at that.
And he lives with his sister. That's really sad.
Yeah, his sister, who they also make annoying, and we're supposed to laugh at.
I mean,
I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, but I also think like Sandler always has the element of like depicting losers in his movies. So like if you think about it, both Davey and Whitey are kind of a little bit losers. There's just like one where Davey looks a little cooler, but functionally he's just like a big giant loser. And then everyone just rips on Whitey and he's treated terribly. But like functionally he's actually a decent guy. But at the end of the day, they're both losers who found each other. I think Sandler does do a lot of like the two rejects from society, one happy, one angry, who find each other and kind of balance each other out a little bit.
do we think after they sing to him at the mall and he has a seizure, do we think he, one, dies, or two, the town just keeps being mean to him? Because it feels like a stunt Davey put on, and everyone's just like, yeah, let's go to the mall and sing to Whitey because there's nothing else to do. But I don't think they learned anything. I guess in the end song, they all kind of like sing about how mean they were to Whitey and how they wish they could change.
I think that they're nicer to him. I'm a positive person. I'm optimistic. I
I'm
think
the
that they
Davey of
treated
this
him well.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They just picked a new one to treat like shit. They just started bullying his sister.
A newborn was born that day, and they just started like being mean as shit.
Yeah. See, like that Revelations song, like would make more sense if Whitey was more involved. Like Whitey could have been kind of like a Sandlerized version of Coach Carter, where he just feels like mean or hard on the surface, but then like as the movie, as we're diving deep into Adam Sandler's character, we learn more about Whitey too, and then we like understand and them from different perspectives. But again, we just don't get any of that. Like this movie had its canary in a coal mine and just continued to poke it with a stick until the very end.
Yeah. Did you guys have a favorite joke in the movie?
Okay, so this wasn't a joke, but this line made me laugh when to a point like I rewound it and watched it again when it flashed back to the night Davey's parents died. Jennifer tries to comfort him in the locker room. He just goes with like absolute perfect delivery. What's the point? My parents dead. Happy Hanukkah. Leave me alone. And
See, this is the problem with having one other Jew in the town and she has huge tits. It's essentially like not having another Jew in the town because you can't actually speak to her on the level Jews talk to each other. You can't kvetch at the girl with huge boobs because she's your love interest, right? You want to impress her, you want to please her, so she's essentially another goyim to you. You don't have like a Jewish best friend who you can actually speak to. Not to say that if a woman, which is not to say if a woman has beautiful tits, she's not your equal. That's not what I'm saying. That's in zero ways what I'm saying. I'm saying he doesn't really have her as like a confidant.
Well, yeah, I mean, she also just like got back. They're not really close anymore.
Yeah, do they even get together at the end of the movie?
It's implied.
Okay. Good for her.
Okay, was it implied that she was supposed to go to the gala with Davy? Because when they show up to the gala, her son goes, "Oh, I'll be your date tonight since you don't have one." And that's when the homeless guy's like, "I'll be it too." And she's like, "I'm good."
Yeah, that does make me feel like there was a scene that got cut.
I think so.
I think in the montage of Davy coming around, there was something cut. Because he really went from like dick to like, oh, I'm having such a good time with these two people. There should have been a little more than the montage.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite joke in the movie?
Oh yeah, I like the jockstrap.
Oh yeah, that was a good joke.
Yeah, that's good. There's just a lot of good visual gags.
So many.
Yeah.
My favorite visual gag in the movie was the cops are like looking for him. And at one point they like look behind a building and all the deer get into a pyramid. And then one of the cops goes, "Nobody's here. It's just deer making a pyramid." I thought that was awesome.
I like the laughing at the mayor's jokes.
Oh,
that was fantastic. That was so good.
When the deer are all falling around.
Yeah, they're all falling around, people are like ripping their shirt off and dancing.
and then Hot Lady's kid is like, "I don't get it." She's like, "No one gets it."
They're just nice to the mayor.
That was so good. Another great guy, 1-800-Boobies. So good.
Oh yeah, with the dominatrix.
When Whitey says he's only ever had phone sex, it's a throwaway line in one of the songs of all things, and then a 1-800-Boobies lady just starts singing that song. I was as you guys may have guessed, I was ripping the bong the entire fucking movie, and every time it got more insane, I had to get higher. And during that song was, I think, when I was like the most locked in, and that's the one. I think it's like a duet between Davy and
Jennifer.
Jew lady Jennifer. Yeah. And so Whitey sings about having sex on the phone. Then there's a trans gag.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But she is on the board. Like later in the movie, like when they're announcing best person in the town, you see her again. She's like on the panel that chooses. So I was like, okay, progressive town.
Isn't that the billionaire's wife?
Yeah, I thought.
Yes, that's why she's on the panel. Okay, yeah.
I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, this movie's not even offensive. Got to that point, I'm like, now I'm offended.
It really comes in and out. Like,
yeah,
it's like a 1 second gag, but you're like, holy shit, they just threw it in there.
What do you think of the music?
I was hesitant.
I thought, like, I feel like a lot of songs like on their own would be better, but within the context of the film, some of them just felt randomly put in there, and then it felt like the actual musicality and tone didn't flow well with the story.
Yeah, they kind of felt shoehorned in for me. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Belton off cam, I didn't know it was a musical.
Neither did I. And I've seen it before.
I jumped out of my skin when they started singing. I was like, "What the fuck are they doing?"
Yeah, no, because the first time watching, like with the opening number, I just assumed it was like, okay, Adam Sandler made like a song for the movie. Then I started paying attention to the lyrics and noticed like Davey was lip syncing to it. It's like, oh, this is like him singing. This is a musical.
Did you guys notice Adam Sandler made Davey ripped? He takes off his shirt. He's like shredded. He has abs, and he can dunk.
Yeah.
He's so hot.
Well, because
For no reason. For no reason. You don't remember this? He takes off his shirt in the basketball scene.
Because his whole thing was like, oh, he used to be a star basketball player, so it's like it's supposed to be throwaway potential. Which, first off, he was 13 when that happened. That is straight up a man being like, yeah, I could have gone pro if it weren't for that injury in 8th grade.
Okay, but I'm sorry. If you consistently drink 4 Scorpion Bowls in 5 minutes and you have that every day since you were 13, you're not gonna have ripped abs, dude. Like, that was an Adam Sandler fantasy.
I just imagine he doesn't eat food.
That's probably true, actually.
The only thing you see him consume is coffee and alcohol.
He's like a British person.
Yeah, it's just that's why he's so skinny.
Yeah. Damn.
But yet he can play a full game of pickup basketball
And dunk.
after not playing basketball for years.
Yeah, and dunk. He's like his character is probably like 5'10" and can dunk.
Yeah, he's not tall. None of them in that town are tall.
Yeah.
What dare I say, Whitey especially is quite short. It's kind of a visual gag. It's kind of noticeable how short he is. He's like a baby. There's all these times where Whitey starts like crying.
Oh, yeah. There's a point in the movie where Davey just dribbles Whitey like a basketball.
That was awesome. I love that.
He was sitting in a seat. Okay, let's.
I'm sorry to say it did help me to be reminded of how small he was. He dribbled him like a basketball. I was like, that guy's so small.
Well, they have to. I like the other gag is they just have to seat belt the sister horizontally. She's just screaming the whole time. She's just like, oh no! What's happening out there?
The fact that those two are not Jewish is a failure of the movie because they are Jewish coded.
I think it would have been anti-Semitic to make them Jewish.
I think it would have been brave. As a Jew, I give it my endorsement. I think it would have been really brave, actually.
Yeah, I mean, watching this movie, I was wondering, like, would anything be accidentally anti-Semitic? But then I realized, like, oh, they don't. This is too surface level to be anti-Semitic.
It's humanist, I think, on some level, but it's not really anti-Jew. I mean, there's parts of it where I'm like, have you ever spoken to someone before? But I don't feel offended as a Jew.
I feel like Sandler just went to one town and had such a bad time that he's just like, you know what? Fuck Morgansdale. It's over for them. The whole movie, this awful town.
It's like the guys who created South Park. They're just like, yeah, there's just this weird town in Colorado called South Park. So we were like, fuck it. This town's gonna be South Park too.
That's like the way I can't go through a podcast without bringing up Twilight once, but the way Stephanie Meyer decided that Twilight was going to be set in Forks, Washington, is she Googled city that rains the most. This is a real thing. And now Forks, my friend just moved to Oregon, so he like drove around like all the neighboring areas. He was like, Forks is like the Area 51 town now. Where, like, you know how they have aliens tourism all over? Yeah. They just have Twilight tourism there. That's what they do.
Have you gone yet?
No, I need to go. I want to go so bad. You want to come with me? I'll go.
I feel like that is a valid way to pick a setting for a story. As a writer, earlier this year, I was writing something. I had to pick a say. I asked a couple of friends from Chicago, just like, what's a shitty suburb of Chicago, and that's how I picked where a story was going.
Can we go back to the Twilight town? Can you just imagine how insufferable of a wedding has happened there? Just like a big Twilight-themed wedding full of two people who you hope you will never see again.
Heart beats fast. It's like playing as they walk down the aisle. They're wearing gold contacts. I need it. I need to. Listen, I'm not going to have the Twilight wedding, but I need to go to a Twilight wedding. Tell me you've watched the 3-hour ContraPoints video on Twilight, right?
No, I haven't watched any.
You guys should cover that on the...
Should we do Twilight for an episode?
Yeah, and I'll come back.
Is it bad enough? Our engineer just said, "Oh yeah."
It depends which Twilight movie. Some of them have redeeming qualities. I think it depends on if you're a Twilight fan. I think I recently rewatched New Moon. I think it's pretty good. But some of the like later ones get into really crazy territory where you're like, what's happening?
What's the one where they're like, you imprinted on him, and then she just climbs a mountain really fast?
That's one of the last two. I think it might be the very last one, actually, because in the last one is when they have the vampire baby who's CGI. And they dribble it like a basketball. Just to remind us it's really small.
All right. Well, now it's time for our concessions. This is where I give 3 things I liked about the movie, and Chris gives 3 things she didn't like.
Doom, doom.
All right. First thing I will say, I did like the animation. I thought it did well, like trying not to make too many of the characters like look too cartoonish. Obviously, Whitey and his sister were completely cartoonish, but everyone else looked like relatively close to realistic. But it still allowed them to get a lot of like cartoony gags and visuals.
Mm. Yeah, I agree.
It's offensive in an early 2000s kind of way. Like I don't think it's hateful. Like, this movie might call me a fag, but it just means it's a little uncool. But like Hallmark would just call me a faggot in the worst way possible. That make any sense?
Yeah.
No, not really.
No, it makes sense, because that was also one thing I was thinking with Whitey's character, how like they relentlessly make fun of him. Is like me watching this in 2024. I'm like, okay, you guys are really piling this on. I wonder if like the 2002 audience would totally be on board for every joke they make at Whitey's expense.
I actually counter-programmed this movie with White Chicks because I wanted to see like good offensive humor instead of White Chicks. I think might be the best movie ever made. It's so funny and every visual gag is perfect and incredible. And I feel like what this movie didn't accomplish successfully was like there needed to be so many more gags with more purpose and intention. Like the whole thing where Whitey's just kind of an annoying baby. It didn't land for me because I was like, what are they making fun of? But maybe that's the point of the movie. Like maybe that's the deeper part of the movie where it's like, if you don't know what someone's about, if you can't read them, then your first instinct is to make fun. So maybe it's actually really deep. See, this is why I don't do closing statements, because then I'll say a point and then I'll just disagree with myself.
All right. My next concession, the last song, Bum Bitty. It's a good song, and
Slaps.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one that actually got stuck in my head for a bit.
Yeah.
In a similar vein, the music is lackluster. I feel like Adam Sandler can do better musical comedies than the song in this film.
Yeah, I did feel like a lot of songs were lacking.
Yeah.
My last concession, I like how they treated Christmas. They were very, because honestly, the look of the film, a lot of it is like you could easily mistake it for a Christmas movie, and I think that's the point. It's just kind of making fun of just like Christmas in America isn't even treated like a religious holiday more. It's just like a social thing, to a point. Like all these Christmas decorations kind of just mean nothing to it. We can easily put it next to a menorah and it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's still punctuated that with like, at the banquet, they're like, and tomorrow's Christmas, and a whole lot of cheers. And it's like, it's also the last night of Hanukkah, and just the one table.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's true. They got that right.
I think that they could use a little more Hanukkah in this Hanukkah movie. I'm just like
Jewish ally over here.
Like, I don't know, like I just feel like they could have done anything more.
Correct.
There aren't any Hanukkah movies past this. So like I get like having a depiction of kind of like cultural Judaism and all that, but like just a little bit more. Considering there's nothing else.
Was there even like, did it take place over the course of 8 nights?
Vaguely?
Oh.
Because I kind of wish they'd been more ham-fisted about it. They've been like, all right, the competition for best person in the town falls on the last night of Hanukkah. Then it'd be like, ooh, this is a juicy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I did just Google Hanukkah movies to see what shows up. First thing is The Night Before, starring Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which seems less like a Hanukkah movie, more like a non-denominational movie.
Yeah. Never seen it.
Next, some R-rated movie that came out in 2019 called Hanukkah Uncut.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
The Disney Channel original movie Full Court Miracle.
Fantastic movie. Yet another basketball movie starring only white people.
Yeah, and then 8 Crazy Nights.
Yeah. What's the next one?
8 Gifts of Hanukkah. That's a Hallmark movie.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Menorah in the Mill, which is on Hulu. No idea what that's about.
I still think the best piece of Hanukkah art is Rugrats. Rugrats Hanukkah.
Yeah, true.
Yep, you guys should check it out.
Yeah, but I mean,
Is it a movie or is it just an episode of Rugrats?
There's, I mean, like the family in it is Jewish, so I think they have like episodes about it, and I believe they have a movie.
yeah.
I just remember watching it a couple times as a kid and being like, "Oh, this rips."
Yeah, but I mean, to the point of it not being about Hanukkah, I think that also goes with my point of how they treat Christmas, and that like in a lot of Christmas movies, it's like Christmas doesn't have a religious aspect. It is just like a holiday that happens. I mean, like thinking back to say Home Alone, it's like the main important thing that where it's like this needs to take place in Christmas is because that's the only time of year like the entire street is going to be on vacation, so that's when the burglars come.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to hit closing
Yep.
statements?
Now it's time for closing statements.
Adam Sandler delivers in another vulgar classic that will fill you with holiday spirit and acceptance of your parents' death. Overall, I give this film 92 dead Jewish parents on Rotten Tomatoes.
They're rolling in their grave, Chris. They're rolling in their grave. Saying, what are you talking about? You gotta watch Rugrats.
We didn't set the scale.
No, I also forgot we were doing this while I was writing notes, so I don't.
Jewish parents. That's gonna be the episode title. You guys look at demonetized so fast, or promoted the algorithm, depending on who your audience is.
All right, Michael. What could have been a Hanukkah classic was beaten down into another run-of-the-mill Sandler film, complete with an emotionally immature adult and an Asian character played by Rob Schneider. While not as egregious as some of his other films, he at least takes mercy on you by making this one under 80 minutes. I guess I give this one, 50 hours of community service and white kids playing basketball. Gabby, do you have any final thoughts?
I'm trying to think of any notes I didn't go through. Oh, I wrote that I would fuck the Foot Locker guy. And I wrote, why is there a voiceover?
Oh, who did the voiceover?
That must have been Adam Sandler too.
No, that couldn't have.
The voiceover, Rob Schneider.
I thought it was going to be like David Spade.
Okay. I didn't recognize it. No Asian accent. I didn't even know. Okay, how can you know it was Rob Schneider?
Yeah. Also, they got a bunch of random celebrities for the whole like mall mascot sequence. They got for that sequence alone, they got Tyra Banks, both of the Sprouse twins, and Carl Weathers.
Wow. Oh, I guess what's that movie that just come out with Adam Sandler?
Oh,
and the
Big
Sprouse
Daddy.
Twins? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they work together. Yeah, I mean that's wraps up my thoughts on it. I think, as always, you guys are both right. I think Belton is more right, but I think I do think this movie had a lot of heart. I think in a way it kind of had a lot to say. But what it said, I don't think I agreed with.
What do you give it? What's your rating?
My rating is I'm gonna give it a 45 Jewesses with big tits out of 100.
We may have to cut this part.
No, come on. I'm the Jewish representative. Give me a movie. Shit. Put me on SNL. So I can say it's gay
All right. Oh, Gabby, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you online?
Thank you guys so much for having me. You can find me at Hip Soccer Mom on Instagram. It's kind of the only social media I use. I don't have a lot going on plugs wise. I have some shows that I'll post about them. In February, I think I'm going to do an hour at Grove 34, which is very, very scary to me because I just did a half hour. So I'm like creating new material very fast and it's probably all going to be bad, but you should still come.
Nice.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Film versus Movie. I'm Belton DeLaine-Facey.
And I'm Chris Shurr.
And we will see you all next time.